Hey folks, this is James coming to you from the Back Nine Life Studios with another episode of my podcast, Teed Off, where I get into all the news that is news of the week with no filter, no fluff, and as always, yes, there is no political affiliations that go on here. I apologize right off the bat. This podcast is a little late this week. I had some internet problems and I had some storage problems on my computer because I was getting way too much content, way too much rendered files, way too much stuff backing up. And I had to figure out how to get rid of the stuff that I didn't need and what I needed to keep. So let's get into it. First one, the No Kings protest. We had 7 million people protesting. Wow. Woohoo. That's more cardio than this nation has seen since the Pokemon Go craze. There's a lot of people out there, and you figured things would go real wrong whenever you had that many people getting out there, especially in today's age whenever we are so divided on such issues. But most of these were largely peaceful, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's how America should work. I really enjoy that many people can get together that quickly, which just shows the power of the internet and how it can be used for positive. Now, you might say, well, that's not a positive thing if people are out protesting that we shouldn't have kings in this country, which most people probably know. I'll let you know that they're protesting that they think Donald Trump is trying to be a king and dictator and rule without oversight from Congress or anybody else for that matter, that he just wants to control everything. And that's kind of laughable in a lot of ways, because you talk about you don't want kings. Well, you elect congressional leaders to 11 terms in your district, and they still think they're sitting there doing good for you. I mean, if your congressman has been in Washington for 35, 40 years, then you've got a king right there anyway. There's not much love for democracy going on in Washington, D.C. today by either side. By anybody. How do I know? Because they're not compromising on anything. The art of compromising for anything has been lost. And the only way we can really deal with it is by electing their asses out of there. It's just time. It's time for a reformation of some sort in this country. And 7 million people got out there to say that. Next thing you know, they're going to be dumping tea into a harbor. This is the kind of craziness that we're getting to in this country. These were peaceful, and I'm happy for that. And happy that we can protest in a good way like that. Is it going to make any change? No, it's probably not going to make any change. Changes are made either at voting booths or through war. That's the way changes are made. And so we're either going to get to a point where we need to actually vote people in that belong there and are not just there to enrich themselves or snatch more power, but actually are civil servants and they serve their communities and their constituency, or we're going the other route, which will be civil war. There's no two ways about it. This is just history talking. And as much as we pay them, which is $185,000 a year or something, they need to get to work. They need to get to work and not just arguing with each other. And we have to really say, hold up a second. Time out. Let's take a tea. Time out, coach. Got to talk it over. Get in the huddle up right there in the Capitol Rotunda. Be like, okay, this is getting a little out of control. What can we do? And then get it done. Talking about no kings, and that's ironic to me as well, because we don't want kings, but I'm guessing most of these 7 million probably got there from Google Maps to their relative protests, which were at 2,500 different places, but got there by Google Maps, and Google and those sort of companies are becoming overlords. They're controlling everything. So they don't like kings, but they like their influencers. If you've ever seen Swifties defend Taylor Swift, I mean, you would see that they see her as a goddess. God forbid you say anything about Taylor Swift. I'm scared to death that a cancel culture of Swifties will come out onto my podcast here at some point and just cancel me. Not really. I don't think any Swifties are going to be coming around here. It's crazy. We create the gods anyway. The influencers, the celebrities, the athletes. We create kings. We have our royalty in this country. We're out protesting that because we just don't want one specific one. And his name is Donald Trump. And I'm not against it. I'm not against it. He should not be a king. He should not be a dictator. He should not be any of that. There are not good things that can come from that. But there's not a lot of good things that are coming from democracy either these days. So we're in a pickle. SNAP November benefits looming. SNAP is our food stamp program, our food charity program in this country. And those benefits are looming. Here's the problem is SNAP is not like Social Security or like Medicare. They are their own stream of funding that go into those things. So they're safe. They are entitlements and they don't vote on Social Security or Medicare every year in Congress to approve appropriations to them. They are automatic. It's not voted on whatsoever. The discretionary part of the budget is where SNAP and the food programs and things like that enter. So this is discretionary part of spending, so it is effective. They can't really get into giving these things out unless they pass some sort of temporary measure. So it looks like Uncle Sam might be going on a diet. Is this a bad thing? Yes, it's bad. There's 42 million people in this country that do receive some sort of welfare benefit as far as food stamps or this SNAP debit card, the debit cards, EBT cards, whatever. Now, should there be that many people? Absolutely not. If there's that many people in this country, which is 10% of the population, there's that many people in this program, there's fraud going on there. There are people that are receiving these things that are more than capable to go to work. But neither here nor there. We can't just cut it all off to everybody. But it looks like what we do is we shut down the government. And then step 2 is we starve poor people. And then step 3, we'd call that fiscal responsibility, which this is not fiscal responsibility. If you're in your household and you say, I'm going to cut my spending a little, then you cut your spending. You cut the entire spending. There is nobody in Washington, D.C. or in your state governments or even in your local governments, really, that are cutting spending. They're cutting programs, but they're transferring money. They're not cutting spending in any sense of the imagination, either side, Democrats, Republicans, nothing is being cut as far as expenses go. Back around to it. There's a lot of problems with the SNAP and the food welfare programs in this country. I'm still for them. Don't make it. People would say, well, you sound like you're Republican. No, I am not. Because to me, Democrats and Republicans are both socialists, just in their own way. Democrats want to give things to poor people directly and to middle class directly. And Republicans want to give things to corporations and higher income earners in order for them to pass it on down to, in the form of jobs, to poorer people. It's a different way of they looking at things, but they're both socialist by nature. So we know this SNAP program may be in trouble. So let's take measures right away to try to alleviate that. How do you do that, you say? It's simple. How much food do we waste on a daily basis? Does anybody out there have any idea? Take a guess. Take a guess in the comment. How much food is wasted daily? Forget it. I'm going to tell you how much. It's roughly about a pound of food per day per person. There's no exact numbers, but it's somewhere around 330 billion pounds of food every year that is wasted on a household level, a retail level, restaurant level, and manufacturing level. Grocery stores, they waste, their estimates that they put on themselves are 30 to 40% lost or wasted on a retail level. But if we can find some way to make that more efficient, because we really need to do that. 42 million people being fed through food stamps and EBT cards, that's not efficient. That is not efficient. And there's no way that we can be a country that wastes that much food, and 42 million people still need to be on these programs. If it's wasted, it needs to get into the hands of people that need it. Restaurants are even worse. It's like 17% of meals that are ordered are left on plate. 4 to 10% the restaurant loses in its assembly line through the transportation process or something like that. So I don't like to get too worked up, but I'm getting a little worked up about this one. And obviously you can tell This is teeing me off because all we seem to be able to do is bitch that this SNAP program may be delayed, may be foregone, and that people are going to starve. We have ways for these people not to starve. But we got to stop focusing on bitching for the government to come take care of me, for Uncle Sam to come into my house and feed me, and figure out ways for private sector and for individuals in themselves to get the food to people that are needed it. Yeah, I did. I got a little worked up there. A little worked up at that one. Yeah. Okay, lighthearted. Let's get into lighthearted stuff. Pie Town, New Mexico. I was reading this as a story on this little town in New Mexico. The name of the town is Pie Town. It was founded by this guy that during World War II or something, he sold apple pie, dried apple pies, and decided to name the town this. And now they have a little festival that goes on. It got me thinking about all these little festivals and all these little small towns across America. So I wanted to get into and find a few of the weirder ones and see what was going on with them. So that's what I did. Number one, they had a Mothman Festival. They have a Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, Virginia. It's the third weekend of September. I think they had a movie called The Mothman Prophecies. It's based on that. It's based on that little thing in this little West Virginia kind of rural area, and it's all paranormal, like a Comic-Con almost for the paranormal society out there. But this is a festival that really bugs people. Bugs people? Bug, moth. I know you get it. I know you get it. Number two, the Frozen Dead Guy. What is this? Frozen Dead Guy Days. Frozen Dead Guy Days. And it's in Nederland, Colorado. It's in March of every year. And it's dedicated to a guy called Grandpa Bredo. Grandpa Bredo. Bredo. However you pronounce it. And he has actually been cryogenically frozen. So they have this festival around this dead guy. Every March, it celebrates everything winter. Whenever it comes, they have frozen salmon toss throwing contests. They have frozen turkey bowling contests. I mean, it just seems like it is a really fun time if you ever were to get out to something like that. Only in Colorado could a festival based around a frozen corpse breathe more life into a town than the Chamber of Commerce does. Fourth one, Mike, the Headless Chicken Festival. It's in Fruita, Colorado. First weekend in June. Built around, allegedly, a chicken was decapitated here. A rooster was decapitated and lived for months after he was decapitated. Mike, the Headless Chicken. Number four, Twin Day Festival in Twinsburg, Ohio. This is in August of every year, and this is a celebration of twins, triplets, sextuplets, whatever, identical mostly, but I guess it could be fraternal twins too. You go out there in August to Ohio, and you're going to be seeing deja vu. You're going to see glitches in the matrix everywhere. Could you imagine that? You're walking down, and you just see a person walk by you, and then you walk about 10 more feet, and you see the same person walk by you. I'm sure they're wearing like the same clothes and everything most of the time. So this is probably just a really weird festival. The Duct Tape Festival in Avon, Ohio. Unfortunately, during COVID, they stopped it. And then in 2024, they decided that because of low attendance, that they weren't going to do it anymore. But this was a festival where it was basically a costume contest. And you'd have to use duct tape for it. And floats in the parade were made completely of duct tape. And it seemed like it would be a really fun time. A lot of these festivals are dependent on grants, and they can't do that. You need to build a festival that actually juices your economy. And the Duct Tape Festival, what it is, it had the Duck brand, which makes duct tape. They were sponsors of it. And this is the problem, is Duct Tape is a for-profit company. They want to make money. So whenever they see attendance fall, they're going to pull their sponsorship. They're not inside your community living day to day. So if you're going to have these festivals, you can't just rely on a grant. You can't rely on a certain sponsor to do things for you as far as marketing and things like that. The town has to get to the point that they can make these things work. And that is one of the real problems I'm seeing. And what reminded me, and I'm sorry to take this all back around, this was supposed to be a lighthearted one here, but you just can't rely on taxpayer dollars to do everything for you. At some point, you just have to be profitable. And even if you're a nonprofit, you can still make a profit. You just need to spend it before the end of your fiscal year. Just get it down to zero, get some inventory. But it doesn't mean you can't make money. And that's the problem with a lot of these 401c3s and things like that, is I just see them not wanting to make money. Like, well, we can't make a profit because we're a nonprofit. Do you know how many hospitals are nonprofit that run on 10% operating margins? You kidding me? And that's what I'm getting into next week, actually. I was going to get into it this week, but this is running long. But I'm getting into a lot of our healthcare situation with this next week's teed off, because these nonprofit hospitals are just, they're pissing me off to no end. Our healthcare system in this country is just makes me want to puke. Ugh. All over this microphone. Anyway, that's this week's. Yeah, got this coming out. I do have the back nine breakdown, which is the analytics. It is sitting in my computer waiting for me to do the final cuts on it and get it uploaded. That should be any day now. Teed off will be out again on Sunday night this week. I will get that out. See you guys on Sunday night. Ciao, bella.